Hi, a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf Collectibles. Well, today reviewing this rather nice ES1 loco. So the ES1 is an electric locomotive built for the North Eastern Railway, and this particular model is done by Heljan and was produced for Rails of Sheffield and Locomotion Models, an exclusive model to them. And I picked this up recently. Now this retails for £220. So it's an extremely expensive loco. It has to be good for that money. Now the reason I bought this is, you probably may have seen on the channel, I went up to the National Railway Museum's Shildon site recently. There's a video on the channel of me walking around and just rambling about the locos there. But this loco is actually, the real one is actually there, and it caught my eye. And also, whilst looking around in the shop in Shildon, there's quite a big model section there, and I saw the model of this, and I sort of looked at it, and it was £220, and I thought, well, I can't justify it, much as I'd like it, because I like the unusual, and this is particularly unusual loco. Only ever 2 of these built actually, yeah, in the end I walked away and thought, well, I'll keep my eye out, maybe I'll get that in the future. And I actually picked this one up as a real bargain, and I'll tell you at the end of the video how much I actually paid for this. But as I say, retail price £220 for that. So when I review it, I'm going to keep that in mind, that it's £220, and review it against that kind of money and see if I think it's worth the money. But anyway, let's get it over to the bench. I'll show you what's inside the box. I've already had a look inside, and I mean it is good. I think it's really good, and I love the subject matter, and really interesting loco as well. So I will tell you a bit about the history of the loco as well. And something that surprised me is this electric loco. These were produced in, I think it was 1904, 1905. So yeah, quite an early loco really for electric. But yeah, anyway, right, let's get it over to the bench and let me show you what's inside. Okay, so as I say, British Rail, North Eastern Railways, ES1, Bobo electric locomotive. So you can see here, made by Heljan, Locomotion Models, and on the side here it does say Rails of Sheffield. So these 2 retail units, it's exclusive to those. So yeah, I picked this actually up from Locomotion Models, but as I say, at the end I'll reveal what I paid for it. Retail price £220, very expensive loco. Just looking around the box here, so obviously we've got a nice schematic on the front here in 00 gauge. On the side, Locomotion Models, Rails, Heljan, and the front of the loco, or the rear of the loco as it may be. And on the end here we can see North Eastern Railways lined green ES1 #1. This is the museum edition, so there's 2 of these out. There's one of the back in the day, and there's one as it stands today. I wanted the one that represented what's in the museum, what I'd seen at Shildon, so I bought this particular version. DCC ready, next 18 socket for if you want to go digital with this. Got working lights, working interior lights, NEM coupling, says sound ready, and the era of this one is 7, 8 and 9. I think the other loco is era 5, but yeah, as I say, there's 2 versions of this, and you can, well, you can either go for both of them, I guess, if you've got the money, or you can choose which one suits what you want. But as I say, I wanted this one because it's the one representing what's in the museum. On the side here, just a couple of things. So it says museum quality detail, not sure what that means, but for £220 it has to be really good. LED cab light and headlights. It's got a powerful 5-pole motor, DCC and sound ready, fine scale sprung pantograph and sprung buffers. And then just over here it says not suitable for 36 months, so usual thing. But a very nicely presented sturdy box, so that's always good. Right, let's open it up and have a look inside. Right, what do we got here? So it comes with some literature. Let's have a look at this. There's an important note here. When removing the loco body for maintenance or installing a decoder, please be aware that the 2 metal running plate parts are not fixed in place. Please store safely and reposition the correct way up along the sides of the chassis. So there's just a note there if you're taking it apart. Obviously they forgot to put that in the book. Okay, a little bit of information about the ES1 history and story. I'll come to that in a little bit. Here we've got a list of parts. Quite hard to see whether that's faded or a misprint, but yeah, it's not the best schematic to be able to see the parts overview for the loco. That's a little bit better. You can see the schematic here with all of the parts on there and then labelled on this side. That's quite nicely done. And again, you can see them there. And then it gives you some information about servicing and fitting the decoder in here. Right, let's have a look at the loco. So, it comes in the blister pack that Hornby seem to use quite often. Just have a look what's in this accessories pack. I don't know what they are. Some very fine details in there. Let me just get my other glasses. Right, there's a little accessories pack in it, and they look like chains or couplings, parts for the coupling that go on the front or rear of the loco. But some very tiny little parts there. Hopefully the camera's focusing on those. Right, let's slide the packaging undone. So we slide that off, and as with all of these, open it up and it's nicely presented. Good to see some little rubber buffers either end to stop the model being damaged. And this I am so impressed with. What a beautiful looking loco. Really, the lining on it is absolutely perfect. So let's walk around, shall we? So definitely metal parts here and here. I'm not sure about the cab. I think the cab might be, yeah, the cab's plastic. The cab's plastic. We've got the two metal parts either side. Definitely a die-cast chassis. And yeah, these are plastic bogies, but it's a really good weight. I'll weigh it in a moment. Printing on it is absolutely superb. We've got a separately fitted pipe running down the side of the chassis there, and you can see separately fitted steps, and underneath various components, compressor there, and you know, separately fitted pipes which really do add to the detail. As I say, going around the loco, got this moulded in sort of fan on the side which looks quite nice, and the rivets look particularly good all the way down the front there. We do have a separately fitted handrail running around the top here, and a light sitting on the front there. Buffers look like they've been separately painted and really nicely finished. I mean, there's exquisite detail on there. Sprung buffers, you can see the detailing on the buffer. Number 1 printed on the front. As I say, there's only 2 of these locos, number 1 and number 2. We've got, you can see the little chains fitted either side of the bogie, or the drive bogie, and obviously the, I don't know what these are called actually, but come down to basically knock anything off the line that's in the way, I guess. Somebody will fill me in what they're called, but yeah, they're just nicely fitted on the model. So carrying on moving round, obviously we've got Northeastern printed on the side, and again the separately fitted pipe down the side here, and a set of chains on the other end as well. Yeah, beautifully finished model. Lamp at the other end there, and then obviously the pantograph on the top here. Let me just see if I can release the pantograph. There we go. It's the pantograph up, and obviously, you know, if you're running an overhead line, that would run quite handsomely on the top there. So all in all, an absolutely stunning model. A little bit of cab detail inside, and yeah, you can see the controls there. We'll get some detailed shots of this in a moment, because obviously with me moving it around, it's difficult for you to appreciate the sort of quality of the model. Right, so all those die-cast parts on here, let's pop it on the scale, see what it weighs. Keeping in mind this is quite a small loco, 264 grams. So given that it's got the 5-pole motor in there, and I do believe it's got a flywheel, I think this is going to be a rather nice runner. I just keep coming back to the detail on it. Look on underneath here, all of this separately fitted parts on there, and I don't know if you can see the pipes and hoses coming down onto the wheels on either end. Absolutely brilliant loco, beautifully made. Yeah, very fond of this already without even running it. Right, let's take it over then, and I'll put it on the railway, and let's get some detailed shots, and I'll tell you a little bit about the real loco. I've just noticed, sorry, before I do that, just noticed the separately fitted whistle there, and if you look in the cab window, there's some little bits of piping running down, so there is a fair bit of detail in the cab, and then on the other end the whistle is fitted on there. So, and I've just noticed separately fitted handrails down either side here. Yeah, very nice indeed. Right, let's take it over and get some detailed shots. The North Eastern Railway was an enthusiastic and relatively early adopter of electric traction for railways. As part of the adoption, there was a short freight branch line from Trafalgar Yard, just north of Newcastle Central, to Quayside Yard, and this was also electrified. The branch line included a steep gradient where the line dropped 130 feet to the quayside in less than a mile. It also had deep cuttings and a tunnel situated on a sharp curve. Conditions for steam locomotive crews were extremely unpleasant and claustrophobic, with little or no ventilation in the tunnels to clear the smoke. As you can imagine, the amount of smoke that would be there with a loco working flat out climbing up a hill. The North Eastern Railway ordered 2 steeple cab electric locomotives built by Brush and fitted with 4 British Thomson Houston 160 horsepower traction motors. So these are not to be confused with the crocodile locomotives of mainline Europe, as I've done many times before, including the video as I walk around Children. Built in 1903 and 1904, only 2 of the class were built, and they were designated Shunting Engine Type 1 or ES1. The 2 machines were given the North Eastern Railway numbers 1 and 2. The ES1 had 2 forms of pickup. Firstly, a third rail connector shoe that was generally used on the tunnel sections of the track, and an overhead collector. Initially a bow collector mounted on the bonnet, but these were replaced in 1908 with a conventional diamond pattern pantograph on the cab roof that we see today. The ES1s were limited to 160 tons on the gradient, and for 60 years number 1 and 2 went back and forth on the branch line. The locos were renumbered a couple of times, firstly by the LNER to 6480 and 81, and then in 1946 by British Railways to 26500 and 265001. In the early 1960s they had a brief moment in the spotlight when both were repainted into the North Eastern Railway style, lined green with NER and BR crests on the cab side. By 1964 the widespread availability of diesel shunting locomotives had rendered the electric operation of the ES1s obsolete. They were withdrawn from service in September of that same year. 26500, or number 1, was preserved in the National Collection as an example of early British non-steam traction, and after many years at the National Railway Museum in York it moved over to the new museum in Shildon that, as I say, I visited the other week, and I'll just put some footage in here of the actual loco in the museum there. Right, well let's see how this runs. So I'm aware that it's fitted, well I mentioned earlier that it's fitted with a 5-pole motor, but I am aware it's also fitted with a flywheel. So let's just give this a little bit of power, just very, very gently. And yeah, beautiful control. So I've got my HM controller on full power and it's on high resistance. That's really, really nice movement there. Really good indeed. You can just make out the cab light is on, and yeah, the direction lights are lighting up as well. So let me just move the camera around and let's have a look to see if we can see the direction lights. So let's just bring this back towards me. Oh, wrong way. You can see straight away the front light is on, and I could, as I say, I can see the cab lights with it. You know, it's probably a bit too bright in here to see it. Again, the movement is very, very nice, very smooth in control. Yeah, I'm very, very impressed with this loco. You know, it's an unusual loco. I think it's a wonderful model. Yeah, very impressed with it. Now, is it worth 220 quid? Yeah, I think it probably is, but as I say, I'll come back to that at the end. Right, well, this is probably the best way of demonstrating the directional lighting of the cab light. So this is right over the back of the layout where it's nice and dark. So coming into shot, you can see the forward light and the cab light, and then if I come back the other way, see the light go out and the light come on again. Very nice function. So smooth running. Yeah, I've become very, very fond of this model very, very quickly. Right, let's give it a run around the layout and get some speed behind it. Well, I think what you have to consider when looking at value for money is the subject matter. Now, this isn't going to be the most popular model out there. It's a bit of a niche model, a bit of a niche subject. I'm quite interested in it because I like things that are unusual. But for example, you know, if you're making a model of, let's say, the Flying Scotsman that you're going to sell in tens of thousands, then obviously your price point is a little bit different. Whereas something like this, where you're only going to sell, you know, a few models, maybe a few hundred models rather than thousands of models, obviously your price has to go up a little bit. Now, in terms of the detail and the separately fitted parts in this, I think it's an absolutely stunning model. Yeah, there's a couple of little areas, but I mean, that's being really picky. I mean, I think it's beautifully decorated, beautiful printing on there. It's a fantastic runner. I've had it running round for probably about an hour now, and hasn't missed a beat. No problems at all across any of the points, and yeah, just a really pleasant experience and a pleasant runner. So is it worth £220? I think probably yes, and I think I probably would have bought one of these regardless of the price at some point. Once if I ever got some money, I would have bought one of these because it's such a stunning model. And I've had a look this afternoon, and this is actually advertised at Rails of Sheffield for £175 at the moment. So yeah, that's even more of a bargain than the 220. Now, I did promise you I would actually tell you what I paid for this. So you've probably seen the video. I was at the London Festival of Model Making, and Locomotion Models were there with their stand, and they had this particular model on special for £99. And I promise you, for £99, this is absolutely amazing value. Absolutely amazing value. And yeah, well, thank you to Locomotion Models. I mean, to provide something like this as a special at the show, yeah, really made my day. And it is an absolutely stunning example. So as I say, if you want one of these, I mean, I don't know whether they'll ever run that promotion again. I mean, it was a one-off, and they certainly sold out on the day that I was there very quickly. But if you do want one of these, I mean, as I say, Rails have got them at the moment for £175. I don't know whether Locomotion Models will price match that, but yeah, it really is a stunning runner, and I'm very pleased with it. Anyway, with that, I'm going to wrap this one up. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and as always, if you wouldn't mind checking out the other videos on the channel, if you can subscribe, you'd be doing me a really big favour. Really makes my day to see new subscribers on the channel, and makes all the effort worthwhile. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one there, so thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.